Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Fresh Set. I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Kevin.
And I don't know if you were annoyed by Instagram this weekend where everything was like, welcome to Miami.
Oh, jeez.
But
Uh,
in case you didn't know, it was the Miami Grand Prix this
you
weekend.
know, maybe because I missed the grid walk.
Uh,
I didn't see as much from celebrities as I would normally see in Miami. Maybe I didn't
yeah,
see it as much.
yeah,
I mean, I noticed there was the sprinter, which I forget his name now, but he also did the intro before the sprint qualifying.
yeah.
Um, who else was it? There was that Lisa from Blackpink who was there. Noticed her. There was whoever Rose is. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I
And
don't
then
know.
Gordon Ramsay. Well, she's on the
Yeah.
soundtrack apparently to the F1 movie. That's all about all I
Okay.
know.
Okay.
And then Gordon Ramsay was there, and that's really
That's
the only.
normal.
Yeah, and then that was really the only celebrities that I noticed.
Yeah, there wasn't a big celebrity showing this year, or like we just on Sky or F1 TV, they just didn't show them as much. They
Yeah,
could have
which
been
is
there.
strange because
We just didn't
Miami
see
is
them.
usually, I mean, other than Vegas, is a star-studded
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
But
But yeah,
yeah,
every post on Instagram or TikTok was just like, welcome to Miami. Welcome to Miami. Like,
I'm
I mean,
I'm
it's the
all
one Miami song, but
yeah. I'm also very surprised by the lack of liveries. I thought we were gonna get a
yeah.
lot more. We got
Yeah.
2?
You didn't, you're not counting Ferrari?
Oh, fuck. Ferrari.
Ferrari's
Okay, let's just get this over
blue.
with. Let's get this over with.
Yeah.
Ferrari should fire every fucking marketing person they have, or PR, or whatever the hell you want to call it,
Yeah.
designer. You know, I get Ferrari and the red is iconic, but they have other colors of Ferrari. It's not like we only make red Ferrari, so we have to have
Yeah.
that red in there. So we're just gonna play to our sponsors and make this weird blue thing. They could have done such a nice, and I sent you one that was a mock-up
Yeah. Yeah.
before. They should hire people who do these mock-ups
Yeah.
because these people do a much better job. It's one race.
Yeah. And I mean, I want, like, it's starting to feel like, is there something in the Ferrari handbook, Ferrari F1 handbook, that the car needs to be predominantly red? Because they keep saying, oh, we've got this cool livery for Monza. We've got this cool livery for Miami. And then it's just like a little bit more white or a little bit of yellow. Even
It's
when they added the yellow two
the
years
stripes they
ago,
had
I think it was. Yeah,
last year was the stripes. Those like
right.
little, yeah,
Yeah. Like, you do a full white and blue suit for them. So
yeah,
do the car white and blue.
yeah.
Not just the HP is like a little bit
And
bigger.
it
Like,
was like they felt like they were all over the place because their team kits for Miami were just pure white with a half red collar, which looked like
yeah.
you that would be in Monaco because that's the
Yeah.
colors of the Monaco flag.
Yeah.
Not didn't hit the Miami vibe at all.
Yeah. No.
Then they go in with the blue suit. So why not have a
Yeah.
blue team kit or a white and blue team kit and to
No.
match it was all over the place. It was
Yeah.
so weird. It made
Yeah.
absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. Didn't make sense at all, but we had V Carb and Alpine switch their pink ever so
Yes.
slightly.
And
But I think
and
V Carb won for me.
V-carb for me won. Yeah. Theirs last year was better for me. I think I liked that one a little bit better,
Yeah.
but for Miami, but it was still good. I liked it. They also had like the wheel rims looked like the top of the can of a Red
Yeah.
Bull,
Yeah.
which was a fun touch.
Yeah.
What else? Who else was? Oh, Steak had instead of just the green kind of fade, they had like splashed green.
Yes.
Kind of looked like
Yeah,
that,
that
which
looked
I
cool. It
didn't
was
mind.
like
Yeah, it was
paint.
pretty.
Yeah, it looked
Yeah,
like
yeah.
paint had
It
like
looked
moved
like they
from
had
the
that
car.
flow viz. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
thinking that too. I was like, how would they do this during like preseason
You
testing
could
with the
just keep.
green?
Yeah, well, they could use
They
the
would,
red. They have an orange
yeah,
or a red flow viz.
yeah,
And then the other ones that hit the mark. The only other kind of uh, color change was Mercedes suits,
yeah.
which I didn't really get at all. I think it was supposed to be some kind of plant-based festive
I don't
thing.
know.
It was weird. It was
All
weird.
marks hit with that. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
missed. Sorry, all
Their
marks
their
missed.
their suits were terrible. I saw like the team kit they had that matched it.
Yeah,
I didn't mind that one.
yeah.
Um,
Like
but
Toto was wearing a shirt, I think,
yeah,
of it,
yeah.
which was fine.
It was
But the
like that
suits,
burgundy wine color kind of thing. But
yeah,
yeah, the suits were just terrible.
no, and they looked way too big. Like their
Bulky.
normal
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
suits.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
what is happening? And they
Even
were
on
like,
George.
yeah, and like they almost looked
Quilted.
like I thought
Mm,
like it's a soccer ball. Like they
yep.
unwrapped a
Yeah.
soccer ball and like made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean the only other thing which was not Miami related was that I don't know if you caught this, Red Bull, they all had pink visors and caps, but that was because Max had a baby
Oh, I
this
didn't see it was
week.
pink. I saw him walking in
Yeah.
with that like pale green one.
Yeah. Well, he
Which
walked in with the pale green, but like all the teams, like the mechanics, were all wearing
oh, okay, I didn't see that.
pink hats and visors and stuff.
So the
But
other
because
thing,
again, Max had a baby.
yeah, the other thing, and congrats to Max if you ever
Yeah.
listen to this. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He had a baby girl. He missed media day on Thursday and was back in Miami for Friday for practice
Friday
and
morning.
practice in the sprint quali. Which I mean, the baby was born in Monaco, so I mean he's got his own private jet, so I don't think he cares, but
Yeah.
he can get some
So
sleep.
everybody was saying, oh, he didn't make it. The baby being born on media day is like very Max coded, like to make him miss media day. But when he did interviews on Friday, he said it's been nice to have a couple of days since she's been born. So the baby wasn't born on media
Okay.
day. Yeah. So I think it was just
So he
a
missed
bit of
it
an
just because of the
excuse.
birth of his
Yeah.
child. He was just like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not even going to come to this.
He's like, yeah, she's, we still got to do this. But I guess they gave him a couple of days. But he didn't get in trouble for missing. I guess they give leniency for
I don't
your
think he would really
children.
care.
Right?
I think the FIA would be admonished for penalizing him for that.
Yeah, yeah. So, so he had a baby. That was kind of the only real news. And then what was a bit of news to us that we forgot come Friday morning was that it was
Oh
a
yeah,
sprint
yeah,
weekend.
yeah, yeah. And we had talked about this
Yeah,
because I told you I woke up on Friday morning. I'm like,
yeah,
is it a sprint weekend?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
because I was tired, I just didn't even check. And then you text me later on. It's like, oh, it's sprint weekend. I'm like, oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was looking at my calendar and it was like it had the clock for qualifying.
Yeah.
But it was like for Friday, and I was like, "Why is there a clock?" I'm like, "Holy shit, it's a sprint!"
Yeah.
So good paying attention to us. But yeah, it was a busy weekend with lots of fighting in terms of on track between the sprint, between the
Mhm.
race, qualifying, just lots of stuff going
Lots
on
of
this
action.
weekend. I would say it was a good Formula One, like driving on track weekend.
I would say it's probably the best one we've had so far. There's
Yeah.
been, we had a couple of safety cars, couple of we didn't have a red flag. I think we only had a red flag in the quali, possibly. And that I think that was only for the rain. But otherwise it was just a lot of on track battles that was all clean-ish.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Ish.
Yeah.
But the battles were really, really good
Yeah.
this weekend in both the sprint and in the race. So jumping right into free practice again, for FP1, they're just really, this is the only practice that they've got on a sprint weekend. So it's really just making sure the car is working.
Yeah.
Everything's attached where it should be. Only thing that really happened was one, Max was back in time for free practice. And the mechanics at McLaren left some of the tools in Lando's car when
I
he
didn't see
went
that.
around. Yeah. He's like, I feel something. There's tools in here.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah. So that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The other thing, like this is probably this is the only time the rookies have ever actually been at Miami. I mean, they've raced other races in like especially in Europe in F2 or whatever. It's the first time they've been there, and they've only got one
Yeah.
practice, and they go right into a sprint. And
Yeah.
it was funny because I was listening, and I was listening to Martin Brundle, where he was talking to a rookie, and he was really nervous about not knowing the track. He said,
Mhm.
"Well, you're gonna have some straights, you're gonna go real fast, and you're gonna have some lefts and rights, and then you're gonna finish the race."
Yeah.
Basically,
Got some
tell him
left,
calm
some
down.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a race. You know all the markers. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah. And I
Which
mean,
they might not have been, but
no. It's not all of them.
not all their faults though. No.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we go from FP1 right into the sprint qualifying a couple hours later, and it's standard qualifying. We have the same people that are usually out.
Yeah.
Except for Yuki. Has a bit of a weird scenario where he doesn't get to the starting line
For his
in
fast
time
starters. Yeah.
to start his fastest lap. So he doesn't get a time really,
Well,
and
I was
ends up
watching it.
or just being the slowest.
Yeah. I was watching it. Yeah, was he the slowest? He was not, but I mean third slowest. Still pretty slow. I was watching it, and I watched everybody because for anybody who doesn't know, in a sprint qualifying, the time is actually shorter than you have in a regular qualifying. I think it's like a 3-minute difference or something like that.
Yeah.
So when people go out, they go out for that first run. They get in their pits. They do a quick setup change if they need to, and then they go right back out. And there's really no sitting around waiting. And this just lineup after lineup after lineup. And so he must have gotten out right at the end, and it was just he couldn't get through the traffic.
Yeah, and he just didn't make it in time, so that was not good for him. But he wasn't the only one. There was a few of them that actually didn't make it in time, and obviously that meant they were all out in Q1, SQ1, SQ2. We had again kind of the normal, usual suspects. The only one that was a little shocking, I guess you would say, was Carlos Sainz in the Williams. Is Williams usually out in a NSQ2? Yeah, but
not in 15th.
No,
this year.
And he was late braking, I think, where he locked up.
He locked up, yeah, and he went long into a runoff and lap time deleted.
And that was his last run, really.
That was his only run.
Yeah.
That was his only run because I don't know why he didn't get his first run. So I don't know if he had another lap time deleted or if he just didn't go out until the end to do that one run. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was out, and then SQ3, we've got, the usual runners. This is a track that McLaren did well at last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the McLaren seemed to be running really well. So it was kind of, it's going to be McLaren, it's going to be Max, it's going to be whatever. And it's a Mercedes. And
out of nowhere.
It's a Mercedes out of nowhere. And then to make it even more shocking, it's Kimi Antonelli, the 18-year-old, the rookie, that gets pole.
Yeah.
With like an insane 126?
126, 482. The Oscar was at 126 as well. He beat him by, what's that? That's 0.04 of a second. So not a lot.
No.
Yeah.
Not a lot there, but I mean, maybe it's because Antonelli's a little bit smaller. But
maybe
is flying through, and he gets pole, which then breaks a record of being the youngest pole sitter in any series, any motorsport series, at 18 years and I don't know how many days he is, whatever it is. And so they're like, oh, he's beat Sebastian Vettel's record of this, and I'm like, okay, whatever. He beat the record by 2 years. Sebastian Vettel was like 20 years old and however many days, and it was like, That's crazy. Like 2 years? I was thinking it's gonna be like a year or whatever, like a couple of months. 2 years. I think he'll have this for the rest of his life then.
But I mean, yes, I get it. I get it, but it's a sprint qualifying. It's not a
Yeah.
real qualifying. And when I'm comparing the times of the sprint qualifying and the regular qualifying, there's a 2/10 difference, 2.5 tenths difference
Yeah.
between pole on each of those. Um,
Yeah.
and by the time we get to the actual qualifying,
Yeah.
Max, spoiler alert, Max destroys Kimi's time in that
Yeah.
qualifying. So I mean,
But I mean, fuel is different for a sprint quali. But I mean,
that's true.
but
Well, but it
also
shouldn't
taking
be
taking
heavier.
into consideration just his age. And he's a rookie.
Yeah.
This is his
Yeah.
6th race.
Okay,
Like,
I'll give it to him.
I mean, if it was Oscar, we wouldn't be saying the same thing, right? So it's only because. But I think he's just going to have this record for the rest of his life because who's going to be younger than this?
Yeah.
Like,
until they start letting 16-year-olds race.
yeah, like they barely were wanting to give him the super license to join F1 this year. So, yeah, I think this is a record he's going to have forever. But
yeah. Well,
converting this to the race
or
the sprint. Yeah, converting this to the sprint though. Doesn't really hold on to that pole position for very long.
Well, the sprint also was a very wet. Like they started late. They also cut out one lap because they started late.
Yeah,
and we started behind the safety car.
Yeah, we had to there was a lot of rain that morning. Charles actually crashed just getting his car to the grid so they could do the formation lap. So not even on the formation lap. And so there was delayed because of that. And then on the formation lap, there was a safety car and then a red flag.
Well, they brought
delayed around 10 minutes or so.
They started the race under the safety car so they can try and push them out waterway. So that's where we can lose one lap, and then they pulled them right into the pits.
Yeah.
But we do get a full standing start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
because then they go back around under the safety car, and then they go back to a full standing start. So they're actually starting the race technically on lap 2.
Yeah. And at that point, the rain had stopped. I think that it was about 10 minutes of like delay of that red flag or whatever, what you want to call it. And then we go racing and very quickly, Kimi loses that pole position. And I mean, sprints are so
well, it was
fast.
turn 1.
Yeah. Sprints are so fast. This one was only 19 laps. At this point, it was only 18 laps because they'd taken out one already. But it's so short of a time to make something happen and have it stick. There's no mandatory pit stops. You just kind of got to go for it.
But we did get pits. I mean, they started pitting right around lap 12-ish, 11, 12.
Yeah, because they were on inters.
And I forget, it was Yuki that was the first one to come in because he was behind. Yuki from starting 18th, was it? Well, I guess. So. I guess 17th at that point because of Charles being out. He ends up coming all the way back up to 7th because he takes that gamble to go on to softs, I believe. Earlier than anybody else. I think it was like lap 11. And he was 2 seconds a sector faster than everybody else at that point.
Yeah. I mean, he was flying, and with a sprint, we don't usually see tires or pit stops because again, it's just there's not really a lot of time to get 8 seconds ahead or anything like that from the front. So it's really just working with what you've got and hoping it's the right tire that you've got on. But again, with the rain, everybody's going to come in because everybody was on inters. And the cars, once the track starts to dry, those inters are gone in minutes.
As soon as they started tracking Yuki's times, they were, let's get in here as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so the sprint, there's, lots of fighting going on. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that
We
happened in
had
the
two
sprint.
DNFs. We had Carlos Sainz, who clips the
Yeah.
wall coming out of the corner or the chicane, whichever one it was.
Yeah.
So he has not a puncture.
Yeah.
Basically, his tire is completely gone,
Yeah.
and drives it all the way back, which I don't think he's supposed to do. But
No.
uh, and then
He
we had
was being
Fernando.
investigated after,
Yeah,
but nothing ever came from it, I guess.
and then we had Alonso, who I think slipped and hit the wall as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he hit anybody. Yeah.
No, I don't think
Other
so.
than that, Max Verstappen finished 17th.
For a reason.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Not his fault.
Yeah.
So he comes into the pits to switch to those slicks, and his team, red light, green light, Squid Game light there, showed up, told him to go after his pit, and it was into traffic, right into Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah.
Took out his end plate of
Right,
his wing.
left wing.
Luckily,
Yeah.
didn't puncture his wheel or his tire.
The brand new tire.
And he was and he was on his radio, just giving it to his team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
mean, yeah.
Ted Kravitz was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, saying, they've had problems with their light before. Maybe it's that. I don't think so. I think they just effed it up because it was completely fine.
And
or looked to be.
There's still should always be somebody looking at the pit lane to stop somebody. The issue really was Mercedes is right in front. So where Kimi had to come into, Max was coming out of. So Kimi actually missed his pit stop.
He had to keep going. Yeah,
he had to keep going because Max hit him,
and that ruined his race even more.
Yeah.
I think he was at fourth at that point, something like that.
Yeah.
Finished 7th.
Yeah. And Max, this is where it gets a little frustrating and I see as a driver, that was not his fault.
No.
But he ends up getting a 10-second penalty, which obviously puts him out of
at the back.
It's at he's at the back.
Well,
because again, it's such a tight race.
And not only just that, we finish under a safety car, so everybody bunches up. There isn't 10 seconds between wherever he was in 5th or whatever, and last. Yeah. So, and you just see as soon as he finishes and everybody else finishes, he just drops and drops and drops and drops and drops.
Yeah. It just wasn't fair, but I mean, wasn't fair because it wasn't actually something that he did wrong.
No, he can't look in his mirrors because there's 15 people around him. He can't see that car coming.
Yeah, and sometimes you think these penalties that they get that are unsafe release, which is directly connected to the team. I don't know. Is it fair that it goes on to the driver, or should it be a team?
I think that there's something like that. If they're releasing them there like that, that has to be a team $10,000 fine or whatever it's going to be. If it's something where they're the mechanics telling a driver to stop coming out of the garage and they release themselves into the pit lane, and the driver doesn't pay attention to that, the mechanic directing them, then sure, I get it.
Yeah.
But for something like that where that driver is at the mercy of his team's decision, that is 100% should be a team, because it's not like he released himself on his own.
Yeah. Someone dropped the car down, which means go.
Yeah.
And I think we did see something. I want to say it was Ocon last year that he released himself, and his team was saying, no, stop. Mm-hmm. This was when he was at Alpine, was saying stop, and he kept going, and he crashed into somebody in the
pit lane. Yeah.
So to your point, they sometimes do that themselves, or not paying attention, whatever. But it was just kind of sucks that this, and again, not just Max, anybody, there's been so many people that have an unsafe release. It just, this weekend it was Max.
Yeah, so that's a rule change that has to happen, because I know he misses out on, he was probably at 5 or 4 points.
Yeah.
When he's so close with George coming right up his butt. It helps.
Yeah, for sure. So race ends, and we have, like you said, it ends under a safety car, and Lando Norris again winning a Miami race under a safety car, which technically should have been a Piastri win because of
Yeah, if it wasn't for the safety
positioning
car.
at the time and then the safety car.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's kind of okay, it's a sprint, but Lando got lucky last year with his first win.
Yeah.
And he now admits it, that it was luck that he got the safety car. And his luck is great because he
And it's
got it
luck
again.
this time too, because
Yeah.
Alonso crashes. It's a safety car. The safety car comes out. Everybody has to drop their time or their
Yeah.
speed. Otherwise, Piastri comes around that back straight or that the main straight, and he's going to come out ahead of Lando coming out
Yeah.
of that pit. But
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. And then we have Lewis in third,
Yeah.
who in his interview looked like he was just happy to be there. Like, I
Yeah.
have no idea why I'm here. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But it was funny because I don't know if you caught this in the middle during the sprint, he was on the radio. I can't drive this car. The car's not working. Then he gets, like you said, he gets third place, and he's just as happy as
Oh, he's
clam.
taking pictures with Jerry
Like,
Bruckheimer. He's like,
yeah,
guys, let's all get in here. Let's see.
yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the sprint. And then a few hours later, we got to go for qualifying for the actual race. I missed qualifying, but
I did. I watched it later. No, I was
watching on like the app, and I was just seeing people like move around, but I didn't actually watch it live. Things to do. But I'm trying to think of anything that after the fact that was crazy.
In qualifying, I don't believe so. I mean,
No.
Again, I watched it
Usual
later, but there wasn't really.
suspects.
Yeah. We have Kimi again just showing really well.
Yeah.
Places third,
Third.
and just ahead of it splits the McLarens. And then we have Max again, like I said, just destroying that lap time. It was, I mean, he wasn't a ton faster than Norris, 6/100ths of a second, but I mean, enough to stay in first there when he needed it. He seems to just find that last little bit of effort. But both Williams, 6th and 7th, starting probably their highest 2-car start this year.
Yeah.
Ahead of Charles in the Ferrari. Actually, ahead of both Ferraris.
Yeah, Lewis was in what, 12th, I think?
Lewis was in 12th, basically saying you can't turn the car. The car's undrivable. Again, it was fine yesterday when he was making third. But when he's in the race, it's just an absolute shitbox for whatever reason. Not far ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto in the Sauber.
Yeah. Which was really funny and kind of cute to see. I don't know if you saw any of this. I saw this after. This is Bortoleto's highest starting.
Quality,
and everybody was just like high-fiving him. I think his dad was there. Like, it was just like everybody was just so happy for him. It was like when I think Mick got his like first point. Like it was one, like he finished 10th or something like that. And like everybody was just like going crazy for it. And I was like, okay, well, it's nice.
Yeah. The rest of the season would be a disappointment, but the only other thing is because of, I think Gasly starts from the pit lane. Did he start from the pit lane? He started in 20th, even though he qualified only 18th. So I think they took the opportunity to do whatever they had to do, and he started in the pit lane.
Yeah.
But not much else. Then we get right into the race.
Yeah. So the race, it's 57 laps. Pretty fast. I mean, they've got that long back straight, which runs pretty much right up against the highway. In Miami. And I think it's a really good start from the top 4. All 4 of them really get a good start. And actually, I think we forgot to say it was Lando in second. Yeah, you said Max in first. Lando in second.
I just said split the McLarens.
Split the McLarens.
Yeah.
And Kimi and then Oscar. And Max gets a really good start. Or they both do, I should say.
They both do, yeah. But Max, as he does, comes right across.
Oh, right across. Like, it almost looks illegal when he does it.
Yeah.
Like, the way he just, like...
It's the most aggressive you've ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
most people kind of they get over. He just, he turns into you.
turns the wheel. And they don't they Max actually locks up on the first corner, makes him go a little bit wide, but he still gets, out well off the corner. And then into the second corner, Lando and Max is Lando's pushed off. And
Well, Max
Lando
is
actually loses 3 positions, drops down to 5th, I think it was.
yeah.
And then Max takes off.
Yeah, and then Max talks, and then it's a race between Max, Piastri, and then
Yeah.
Antonelli, right, who's just right behind him.
Yeah, Antonelli was, in second for a little bit there. Didn't last long because he's got Piastri right behind him. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Lando's on the radio saying very quickly that Max pushed him off. Max is saying I didn't push him off. He left me no room. This one, it's the first 2 corners racing incident. I do think Max was there, had the corner more than Lando, but yeah.
So because we've had so much of a discussion about, not us, but like it's just been such a discussion of where the apex is or who has
Yeah.
that corner. The way they describe it, or the way the rules say, is that if your front axle is at the mirror of the other car, you are technically ahead, or you have a corner.
Yeah.
I think they're neck and neck. Either way, regardless, Max has the inside. He's going to make that turn. It's on Lando to back
Yeah.
out. Otherwise, he's going to cause an incident. And he said, "What am I supposed to do? Go into the wall?" I said, "Absolutely not. You back out. You did what you're supposed to do. He had the corner."
Yeah.
So-
I mean, you catch him later on, which again he did. So Max kind of takes off. Lando has this like really fast, insane overtake in the most random spot of Antonelli, who's now dropped at this point to 3rd or 4th, I think. And like you can just tell Lando's car's fast.
Well, I think it's one of those spots where no driver thinks it's going to happen, so they get kind of a little complacent, like he's not going, and then he just comes so fast that you're not paying attention. I think he just caught him off guard.
Yeah. And then Piastri and Max are just like pretty much running each other off the road at this point. And Piastri takes the lead. And there's one thing that I think it was clear with the fighting of Max and Lando, and then Oscar and Lando. Oscar drives like Max.
I thought
the same thing. I think that's the only way you're going to win. And like Lando doesn't have... He's just not there. He's not there of like... He said it in his post-race interview as well. It's like, it's the same thing with Max. If you don't crash into him, you can't make the move. And he said, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of have to. Because... And Oscar does it. He doesn't care.
Yeah, I thought that in the first dust up with Lando in those first 2 corners, I thought if this was Piastri, he would not have given that up.
No.
There's no way. And then you see it later on where at one point, because they're fighting the way they fight, Oscar gets ahead of Max, and right away McLaren's like, you have to give that spot back. So he gave him a spot back where he knew he could give that spot back, and then right on the next corner overtook him again.
Yeah.
And it's just there is no give. It's mine, and that's it. And that's the way Max races. And you could see it on both of them. They were going to push each other off track. They were going to go wheel to wheel. They're as close as I've ever seen them come without touching.
Yeah. And I think Max likes that. He likes somebody that's going to fight with him. Though that 2021 of Max and Lewis doing the exact same thing. If we're gonna race, let's race.
And you see it. You see it in the respect on track. He knows he can bully Lando.
Yeah.
He knows he can bully Lando because Lando's going to give it up. He knows he can't bully Oscar. He's a little more measured in how he takes those risks.
Yeah.
He still takes them, but he's just
he really does. But I think there is a little bit of fear, which is good fear to have, because I mean, a crash in one bad crash in F1 could end your life. But I mean, the way you see Oscar drive against Max versus anybody versus Lando against him, it's very different. And I think we did those couple of jockeying and take passing back and forth of position. It was great because the camera angle was not the bird's eye view, but like it was above.
Yeah.
You could really see what Oscar was doing when you're on like in the car view or anything like that. You don't totally see it, but seeing it from above, I was like, okay, you can really see how Oscar drives.
Yeah.
And it mirrors Max.
Yeah.
So, but eventually Max and Lando do get to a point where they're now fighting each other. And it's back and forth. Max gets him, Lando gets him. Max gets him, Lando takes back the position. And that goes on for a little bit. And then eventually Norris is able to take P2. The McLarens
they're just faster.
Yeah. It's their time. But
and
then
Max seemed to be having problems he was complaining about his brakes a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
So it just seemed like he couldn't make those late lunges like he wanted to. Otherwise he was locking up and going wide.
Yeah. He wasn't able to do what he usually does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe because he's abused his brakes so often this year.
Yeah. And he does this like really late, but like on the cusp of like knocking people off track. Braking. But yeah, I mean, at this point, we also see some really good fighting between Ocon and Hamilton, which is where I messaged you saying, like, do I like Ocon? Like, is this like Ocon at Haas? Is this who I like? It was just really good fighting. He almost has Hamilton pushed up against the wall.
I saw that was close. That was almost dirty. That was a little dangerous.
Yeah. But Hamilton is like in not even inches, centimeters from the wall, and like on the other side is Ocon just bullying him. And in it, like when I was watching it, I kind of thought after, I'm like, is this the drivers now who have raced with Hamilton at his best? Are they realizing now that they can almost bully him? Like in a Haas, Ocon bullying Hamilton up against a wall like that? Like, this is unheard of.
It's not championship era Lewis in a Mercedes.
Right, exactly.
It's him obviously frustrated and not confident in his whatever color that is.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, there's been times that you've seen it with Lewis in the past, you've seen it with Max, where you have one of these teams that's like sitting at the back and Lewis is coming up behind them, whether they're being lapped or, Max came in for a pit stop or Lewis came in for a pit stop. Those back markers don't even fight. They're just like, okay, here you go. It's not worth it to them.
It's yours.
So we're now, I think they're seeing with a little bit with Max, because everybody can tell that the Red Bulls is not where it used to be, but they're seeing it with Hamilton. Like, they can actually fight this guy. So we're seeing a lot of that. We saw Hadjar do it as well with Hamilton. But yeah, I mean, so we're about lap 26 at this point is when we see the first of the front runners coming into pit. This is I said 57 laps. And the first one to come in is Antonelli, who's looking for an undercut of Max, I think it was at the time. And I can't remember what happened, but like he had a slow stop or something. The undercut didn't totally work for him. But then it just creates the domino effect of everybody else. Of everybody else coming in. Then we see Bierman lose, like, just
he had an engine failure or a gearbox or something. He just saw a puff of blue smoke come out of the back and he's done.
Then he just went off. We had that was a VSC.
VSCs?
Mm-hmm.
3 VSCs. For as good as the rookies have been, this was a terrible weekend for them.
Oh God, yeah.
This is a terrible weekend.
Yeah.
And not always their fault.
No, it's this weekend, I think it was like car failure for
we had
all of them.
even lap 1, I forgot to mention this, we had Doohan coming in, making contact with I believe it was Lawson, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, Doohan had no business being where he was.
No.
I don't know why he was trying to make that move. Kind of caught Lawson off guard there, but he had a puncture, a lot of debris. He had to pull off to the side there. Whatever. He actually has 0 laps completed. And so he was out. We had Behrman with that engine failure, and then that was in lap 27. Lap 30, we have Bortoleto, who also has some kind of a failure.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it was, but
No.
he just got no power, or his gearbox failed. Not
And
sure.
he's told to retire. The come in to
Yeah,
retire.
yeah. And so he actually, I don't even think he makes it around. He actually goes. That's our second VSC because he has to pull off to the side.
Yeah.
And then at 36, we have, excuse me, we have Lawson, who's told to come in to retire because he's losing places like crazy because that first incident in lap 1, he's got a hole in his side pod. He's it was the
Yeah.
smallest little one too. We've seen
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
But he's told to retire the car. So those were our
Yeah.
4 DNFs all by lap 36, and it was not a good day for them.
No, not at all. And like you said, it was just a lot of stuff that was out of people's control,
Yeah.
except for Doohan, who shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
But we with the pit stops that started at like lap 26, the Ferraris make, and this is where we see the downfall of the Ferrari strategy again. And it wasn't a downfall to begin with. So I think Charles started on medium. He went to hards. Lewis started on hards and went to mediums for the second half of the race. And at that point, when they put Lewis on mediums, the mediums were actually looking like they were the better tire. They should be. They're supposed to be faster. The graining wasn't as bad on like the data that they were seeing from other people. And Lewis comes out behind Charles in some odd fight between Charles, Carlos, and Lewis, which was great racing and drama filled. But what ends up happening is we have a bit of like a weird semi through goes Hamilton scene from a couple years ago, if anybody remembers that, where Crofty kind of starts to say it, and he does continue saying it, but it's just doesn't have the same oomph as it did the last time because he only gets past Carlos.
Yeah.
He doesn't get past Charles. Doesn't make it stick. And then Lewis, who is on the faster tire, is like, okay, well, is Charles going to let me by? Like, I've got to go so we can go and catch Antonelli. It takes Ferrari 3 laps before they're like, yeah, okay, go past. And it's kind of like, well, why did you put him on the faster tire if you didn't want him to go past Charles?
So, I mean, and I'm watching this, and I'm at a birthday party, so I don't get a lot of the volume there, but I'm reading subtitles and radios. Yeah. But I see this, and I see him, and he's right on Charles' tail, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in my head, is it only because he's getting a tow? And so we see him get that go ahead. Eventually, they do switch after those 3 laps of jockeying back and forth with his radio. Yeah. And then he gets out in front and goes absolutely nowhere.
Nowhere. Like Charles is in DRS the whole time.
Yeah. He does not get away. He cannot get away. No. And I know, I think I read somewhere that they had made the call that they want to kind of keep the DRS. And Hamilton wasn't happy with it.
So that was when, for a little bit, it was when Hamilton was behind, and he said, we're keeping DRS.
Yes, when he was behind.
And then he's like, but I'm on the faster tire. Like, it doesn't make sense for Charles to be pulling him along. It should be the other way around, and then he can take off and
believe exactly what he said was, you guys, man.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, you guys, man, and then trails off. And then he comes back and, back in China, I was told to move over and I did. His race engineer had it and just interrupted him and was like, okay, we're working on it. Like, we're doing it. Yeah. Like, pretty much being like, shut up.
But he goes absolutely nowhere. And then they're told to switch back again. They've effectively, so I'm wondering if before where they didn't want to switch is not because of the DRS situation. It was because they're seeing data from where he's turning, where he's braking, whatever, that he's not going to be fast enough. No. And he's not. And they told him to switch again. And now they've ruined Charles' race.
Yeah.
Because now Charles has no time to catch.
Right. And I don't know, we didn't see a lot of it. And I don't know if Charles was just keeping his mouth shut. But there's not a lot of feedback from Charles. He was told to let by, he let by. They ask Charles to pass, he passes. Like,
Yeah,
it's just, and again, we don't, this could be manipulated of what we see on TV.
I'm sure there
Um,
was some.
yeah, but Lewis is absolutely losing it over his radio, and they're obviously showing all of that. And it gets to the point that they make the switch back, and Charles does take off. Granted, he's not 2 seconds ahead of Lewis, but he breaks DRS very quickly.
Yeah.
And he sits around the 1.7, 1.8 ahead of Lewis and kind of is increasing. And now Lewis has Carlos still behind him. Lewis's engineer, which they do for everybody. They do this for somebody in the lead. They do this for somebody very, in 20th. The engineer says Lewis signs 1.4 behind.
Yeah.
And Lewis's response is, do you want me to let him pass as well?
Yeah.
Now we're just being a little
such
bitch.
a little bitch response. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, just kind of unnecessary. Especially when you could see the proof that Charles was able to go ahead. The proof is there. His car was working.
It's not the car, it's not the tires, it's you. Because Charles finished ahead. Carlos tries to make a last minute move in the last two corners or whatever it is, and only finishes 0.4 of a second behind, only because he tried to make a move, it didn't stick, and he fell behind.
Crashed.
He was right on him. So it's not you're not the faster car.
No,
you weren't. If there was another lap, he probably would have caught you.
Yeah.
So
the tires just didn't work.
Yeah. Stop playing the victim game.
Yeah.
And today wasn't your best weekend, like you said every weekend.
Right. And I mean, do I think Ferrari's strategy screwed both of them?
Absolutely.
I think it screwed both cars.
Absolutely. It seems like the race is the only time they're indecisive.
Yeah.
Because they're so decisive on their fucking liveries that they won't even consider a different one. But they're going to be like, oh, sure, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
He's Sir Lewis Hamilton. How could we not?
Yeah. This was not that I necessarily felt bad for Lewis, but I was like, this was a time that I'm like, it really showed the disconnect. We've always known that there's a disconnect with Ferrari and their drivers, but him being the new driver, it really did show a disconnect between him and the team. And it would be really interesting to see what is happening behind.
I feel like that was their way of saying, listen, I get you're Lewis, but Charles is our number one driver. Charles is our Ferrari driver. And then they kind of just gave it to him just to shut him up.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. It was really, I was kind of proud of Ferrari for being, hey, we're not going to just be bullied just because of who you are.
Yeah.
If you're not faster, you're not faster.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree. Like if he just couldn't take off, and like it was almost as if they were trying to do what Williams did in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work. Like it just was not working. And maybe it would be interesting to know who Williams' number one driver is, because they seem to be working with both, like whoever is the fastest. I don't think they have one. I think it's just whatever car's working that weekend.
I think they know that Sainz is going to leave eventually. So let's get as much as we can out of him and the car as possible.
I think there is probably some sort of hierarchy issues, superiority issues at Ferrari now. Ego issues. With, even Ferrari being like, hey, we're Ferrari, we call the shots. Then you have Lewis saying, I'm Lewis, I call the shots. Or Charles being like, hi.
Yeah.
Hi. I think Lewis has got to be kicking himself for leaving Mercedes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying Ferrari would be doing better with Carlos. I think Ferrari's probably would be in the same spot that they are right now.
Oh
But
yeah. No, I don't think it was that. I think it was the fact that one, it seems like Mercedes. See, I don't know if is the problem the car, is the problem the person. Because if he had a bad weekend in Mercedes, would he just still be saying the same things?
yeah,
Because we don't see. I mean, we see Kimi doing well, and
yeah,
by all counts, the car is better than when it started, when regulations
yeah,
changed. Sure, but you get somebody like a rookie, he's just going to put his head down, put the work in, and try and do the best he can to show the best he can.
yeah,
Whereas do you get too comfortable and too used to everything being easier, not easy, but easier,
yeah,
that when things don't go right, do you just break apart or fall apart,
yeah.
right? We hear about how the Red Bulls are not an easy car to drive, but for some
No,
reason, Max puts his head down and pulls out every ounce that he can out of the car. Now, is he able
yeah,
to do it better than his teammates? Sure. Is he able to do it better than most? Sure. You
yeah,
think that Lewis would have that same ability,
yeah,
but instead of to me, it's more of a mental acuity kind of
yeah. Well,
issue.
and now we're actually seeing Lewis do it at two teams.
Yeah.
So we saw, after 2021, we have the 2022 Mercedes, which was awful all around, just a bad car.
Yeah.
And complained that whole season. And now he's gone over to Ferrari, also complaining, and again, we may just not hear it. We hear Max saying, "Guys, what's wrong with the brakes? My brakes are not working. I'm slipping all over the place." But the level of anger with the teams, I'm saying teams because we've seen him now, Lewis, with two teams doing this. It's very different. So is it? And I did see a picture the other day of Lewis, and he just looked old, and he's not old by any means, but he just looked old and dejected, and like
Yeah.
he looked tired, and it was like, are you just done? Like,
Yeah, but we had Sainz in the same Ferrari last
yeah,
2 years, who was able
yeah,
to pull out something
yeah,
out of the car.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't want him to go out like this. That's the thing, is like he still is a 7-time, 8, if you want to say, champion. Like,
No, he's a 7. He doesn't have the 8th. I don't care what anybody says. You can, regardless of what you
he
think
doesn't have
should
the
or
8th.
shouldn't have happened. He didn't get the 8th.
No, but it's just
Your
like,
opinion means nothing. Not you. I meant just the people who think that.
Me too. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. You don't want him to see him go out like this, but it's just not looking good.
No,
it's not looking good at all from him.
All
Anyways.
that to say, there's really nothing much else for the race. We had that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Once we had Oscar, who gets in the first, I mean, nobody catches him. Lando has a decent push, but doesn't even really come close. Well, 4.5 seconds. It's the McLarens, but behind the McLarens, George finishes 37 seconds behind them. So, I mean, once that main battle gets by, besides the two Ferraris and Sainz, I mean, the leaders are just there out in front. There was no catching them unless they made a mistake, or unless the rain showed up, which it never did. It was supposed to. It only showed up for George Russell.
Yeah.
The amount of panic in his voice when
it's raining.
Just a drop shows up. It's raining. Should we go to Inters? Everybody's staying out on slicks. Yeah, I think Inters would be best. So it only rained, and I sent you that text. I'm like, is it only raining? Not one other person said anything about a drop. It is George sweating in his visor again.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Oscar in first, Lando in second, George in a distant third. Max actually pulls out at fourth. And then we have Albon, Kimi, Charles, Lewis, Carlos, and Yuki rounding out the top 10.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, I think overall it was a good weekend. Like, we saw racing. We're seeing those McLarens, and I'm gonna say it. We're seeing Oscar's McLaren is doing what Max was doing in the Red Bull. So they've figured out whatever it is that Red Bull was doing. And I mean, this was obviously the first race that we've seen this much of a distance or a gap, sorry, between the McLarens and another team.
Yeah, I think it
But
had to do a lot with fighting too. I mean, because George and
yeah,
Max were fighting, so that's going to push them back a bit more. Is it more
yeah,
realistic that they're at they probably would finish like the 20-second to 25-second,
yeah.
probably?
And I think also George kind of got lucky. George got lucky with his third place because of there was a VSC which allowed the McLarens to come in. Someone else
Yeah,
had come in. So George already wasn't close to the McLarens. He got
yeah.
Max had come in for a pit stop right before the VSC,
Mhm.
maybe a lap or two before. So that gap, while it was 37, it wasn't
A true.
what do you call it? The delta? Like the delta
Yeah, yeah,
wasn't
yeah, yeah.
actually for that, shouldn't have been there, but um yeah, it just he got lucky again. George getting lucky
George
all
just
season
finding
long.
podiums. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean he's what 5 points away, 5 or 6 points away from Max in this
something
driver's
like that. I think
championship.
it's 6 now. I think he's at
Yeah, so
93 and Max at 99 or something like that.
yeah, it's pretty
Yeah, I mean,
close.
it just shows if you just drive a clean race, doesn't matter if you can qualify third,
Yeah,
fourth, whatever. You can
yeah,
drive a clean race. You're probably going to be in a decent spot. You're not going to
yeah.
be a champion, but you're going to be in a decent
No,
spot.
no, not at all. All right. So news. Do we have any
News.
news?
I only other thing. I mean, we talked about a bunch of stuff already. But the only other thing I had is that Miami's been extended to 2041. I think it's the longest contract
Yeah.
I've seen being extended, which is fine. It's great. I mean,
Yeah. Interesting.
it's turned out to be everybody's kind of weird when it was the first Miami Grand
Yeah.
Prix, and it was kind of like, what's this spectacle? Is it going to work here?
Yeah.
It works, and it's provided us with great races every year so far. I think this is the
Yeah.
third or fourth. This is third.
This is third.
Yeah, and it's provided us great races. The Lego race this weekend was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I want a full size Lego car,
Yeah.
although they just destroyed the crap out of them.
Yeah.
But it's just a whole weekend of just great events,
Fun.
racing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was shocked. I mean, I think everybody was shocked by it being extended to 2041. That's a bit of
Yeah.
a big jump.
Another 16 years,
Usually teams do 5 years,
8
another 3
year
years.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
8. Like,
I think the most I've seen is 8 so far. Like in the
yeah,
last 6
a little
years,
bit.
5 years,
Yeah.
whatever.
But yeah, just weird. And then to kind of your point of like, there wasn't that like star-studdedness. It
No,
just wasn't apparent this weekend. So it's interesting that they announced that at the same time that
but
we
I
didn't
feel
see
like
everybody.
I liked it because it felt more so this was about the race weekend and
Yeah.
less about who can we get to show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Fair.
Which will be completely opposite for Vegas.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't have any news
I don't
really.
think we have to go through any of the little crap.
No.
That's fine. Yeah. Um,
Fresh
so,
set.
yeah, fresh set and dirty air.
Ugh, my fresh set one, I don't know if you caught it. I don't remember what corner it was, but they had this bird's eye view. Looked like it was from like a palm tree. Literally like right over the cars. At one of the corners. And I just thought it's a really cool view. It's like almost like a hairpin kind of, but it just looks like a
Okay.
really cool view. I mean that's not really my fresh set. But
Oh, okay.
just cool to see. And then my real fresh set is we're finally seeing a little bit of a Piastri personality. Like he's
What, 'cause he hit the gritty?
cold. Well, but even like just
Terribly,
when
but
he wins, yeah.
yeah.
When he wins, like you see him like in the car, like pumping his
Well, I think
fists and like
I think especially this one. This was, I mean, yeah, okay, he won by so much, but
yeah,
it was work, and it was hard work to get that first place. I think it
yeah,
was worth it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's just he's been like on the radio. Usually he's like, yeah, it's a good one. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Like now he's like, thanks so much for the team. Like this was a great. Like he's just there's a bit more of a personality
Now
coming
that he's
out.
leading a championship. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
We see him just more animated and yeah, hitting the gritty or not
Yeah.
hitting it, whatever. It's just, but hey. But yeah, that's my just a Piastri personality coming through.
All right. Mine is going to be a little unorthodox, and I said it to you
Oh.
yesterday. The FIA
Oh yeah.
getting calls right.
Yeah.
Uh, I was so happy with what they with a lot of the calls they had this weekend.
Yeah.
Other than the 10-second max one, but that's just a
Yeah.
regulation thing. That's in the
Yeah.
regulations. That's got to be a regulation
Yeah.
change. So the stewards didn't really have a choice on that. But
Yeah.
the FAA, the stewards were great this weekend on handing out penalties, not handing out penalties,
Yeah.
seeing where it was a racing incident or what was and wasn't deserved, not being overly harsh or doing something for one and not the other.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job. I think they
Yeah.
kept everything in order, and it's not typical of what we would expect from them.
No.
And it didn't seem like the team principals had any real complaints or anything, or it
No.
was kind
I
of just like,
mean,
yeah, okay, whatever, we can see it.
yeah.
They always have complaints. They're always going to go
Yeah.
back for their drivers, but it was
Yeah.
kind of just sure,
Yeah.
um, we'll accept it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think they did a great job.
Christian and Red Bull, they did file
They
the formal
always
protest
that
against
was
George.
last week.
No, they
Oh,
filed one yesterday.
oh yes, that
That
was for George for yes.
not lifting. I mean, but they wouldn't have access without doing the protest to hear George lift. So I do kind of understand them filing that protest. Like
Yeah.
we heard George lift by, watching on TV and seeing the
Yeah.
analysts review it and whatever, but Red Bull
Oh, you're
wouldn't
telling me
know.
they don't have? You telling me they don't have a subscription to F1 TV, and some guy upstairs just watching it and checking out?
Yeah.
Of course they do.
Yeah, sure. Dirty air. Ooh, I don't know what I have as a dirty air. Do you have one? You go first.
Oh, do I pick on Lewis again?
That's like the
I don't.
easy
We've already
one.
picked on him today. I
Yeah.
can't do it. I'm gonna go. My dirty air is going to be just the rookie performance, and not because it was their fault, but just
Right.
the disappointment that it was. For a lot of them, even I don't know. Yeah, Hydra finished 11th. It wasn't bad, but those
Yeah.
4 that got DNFs, it's just a dirty air for them.
For them.
Yeah, it was just a shame to see them all out. That's something at a great weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know what happened this weekend.
Oh, actually, you know what? Not all.
Okay, you can have 2.
Not all rookies. Liam Lawson, he can go to hell. Well, what was it that he did to Alonso? He almost ran him off the track.
He
Oh, he did
ran
hit
him off the
He
track.
ran him.
Yeah.
He ran him off the track.
Hit him.
Like
Yeah.
it was just such a bad late move, dirty, not fair at all.
Yeah.
And it's the second time he's done that to Alonso in as many years. He's done
I
it
was
to
scared when I saw Alonso walking like out of his car. I was like,
Yeah.
he is going to go and get him.
Yeah. And I think I text you. I said Liam's got to be out of F1.
Yeah.
So you know what? My dirty air is Liam Lawson. So
Okay.
I'm not sad that he DNF'd. Everybody else, yeah. Go.
Well, you have 2 dirty airs, so that could be
It was
good.
it was a combination of 2.
I can't think of anything that like annoyed me this weekend. I mean, other than like the Lewis, I mean, we can go with Ferrari. It's probably the first time for like this season Ferrari strategy has probably annoyed me, which then leads to Lewis having his meltdown. So I guess it's kind of a domino. So I'm gonna blame Ferrari, which is I like Ferrari. That's probably the team that I support, but
Probably.
probably that is the team.
Now you're guessing it.
Yeah, I have to second guess them because they second guess themselves. So, so yeah, I think that would be my dirty air.
I could come up with a third one, but I'm not going to.
Oh Jesus!
It was about the interview one, the team principal interviews.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just
funny.
They got this F1 TV has to stop putting Christian and Toto together.
In interviews.
When they were fine together, they were absolutely fine together. It's just that everybody else ignores all the other team principals up there, and it's just not fair.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right. Well, anyway, I forgot to do this at the beginning, so don't forget to follow us on social media and where you get your podcast at Fresh Set Podcast and YouTube at Fresh Set Podcast. We will be back next week. There's not a race, but we'll be back. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Grab a fresh set.
Bye.